Did you know that rest may be the most powerful growth strategy that you can integrate into your business and into your life today? Well, today I'm going to share with you what high performers know about rest and growth that many people and business owners don't. I'm going to start by sharing with you how I have harnessed the power of rest in my growth. Then I'm going to share with you multiple case studies of the highest performing people throughout history, how they have harnessed rest to grow themselves and their message. And then I'm going to share with you how you can capitalize on rest in your life starting today. So you may know that I am actually an elite ultra runner with asthma. Another company called Athlete with Asthma, where I empower powerful athletes like yourself to overcome your perceived limitations and achieve your goals as an athlete and as a person in your life. Well, as an elite ultra runner, I have learned how to harness the power of rest to not only overcome 30 plus years of asthma, but to become a 100K, 100-kilometer ultra winner. I won my first race a little over a year ago and have never looked back on how powerful rest can be in my life. So what does this look like? Well, in order to get to this 100K finish line, and just in general, how it looks for training for something like a 100K running race, a 100-mile bike ride, a marathon, or really anything that you're training for in your life, is you're going to have a training cycle, at least 16 weeks. So whenever I train for a race, I have at least 16 weeks of a regimented training schedule. And how it works is I didn't just run 100 kilometers a week, or I didn't even run the same amount of mileage every week. And same with you. If you're looking to do anything in your life, you can't just go to get the result. So how it works with ultra running, with long distance biking, with any of these things, is you train hard for 3 weeks at a time. So out of the 16 weeks, you train for 3 and you rest for 1. And we call this 4-week cycle the build and the drop down. The drop down is the same as rest. So we build for 3 weeks, we do, we perform very high, and then we drop down and we rest. Our miles dip significantly. We prioritize more rest days throughout the week. And you do this 4 times 4 for 4 cycles. Now, I've also done this over a 24-week program where you do 6 cycles like this. So this is the first thing. When you are training for something, when I won my ultra marathon, I got the result that I did because of rest. The other thing we do with the last couple of weeks leading up to a race is for 1 to 2 weeks at the end of the cycle. So you can even boost this up to an 18-week cycle, broken down into 4 4-week training bits with 3 weeks of build and 1 week of drop down. And then we top it off with 1 to 2 weeks of a taper. And a taper means that if we, in these building weeks, built all the way up to running an 80-mile week, then the taper is going to look like a 40-mile week and a 20-mile week. We're tapering down. We're resting. Now, I know that this is the right way to go about things because I have done the opposite, where instead of prioritizing a drop-down week every week, it was build. No rest. And even though I've thrown in a taper at the end, the 18, the 16, 18, 20, 24 weeks of no rest and all build, build, build crushed my body and resulted in me having to drop out of a 12-hour endurance race just 6 to 9 months after I won my 100K Ultra. I was actually in 10th place out of 100 people when I dropped out. But I was so burned out because I had built instead of build, rest, build, rest, build, rest, build, rest, and then build, I plummeted. This is why rest has been so important to me as an athlete. And I have been capitalizing on what I have learned as an athlete and have integrated it into my business, and I'm seeing similar results. Did you know that LeBron James sleeps 12 hours a day? He is looked at by many as the greatest basketball player of all time, or at least up there with Michael Jordan. And he is known for sleeping at least 8 to 9 hours per night. And another 3 hours per day. He tends to time his naps to end a couple hours before each game each day, where he'll start going to sleep around noon, get up around 2 or 3, and then start getting ready for his game. Now, why this is important is because LeBron James has played at such an elite level for decades, very similar to what Tom Brady did in professional football. And like Tom Brady, LeBron James has specifically leaned into rest to grow himself and his game. And he's grown to levels that we never thought we'd see someone of his age play at. Not only playing at a high level, but consistently playing at a high level. And he's done this by prioritizing sleep. If it's good enough for LeBron James, it's good enough for you, and it's good enough for me. This is the importance of rest in your life to grow as a person and to grow your business. Now, I read dozens of books every year. And one of my favorite books I've ever read is called Redeeming Your Time by Jordan Rayner. And this book is all about how the most productive human to ever live, Jesus Christ, lived his life. And specifically how he managed his time. Well, no matter what your religious beliefs are, we can at least agree that Jesus has had a worldwide impact by having a religion, Christianity, with about 2.5 billion people. Well, in order to create such a worldwide movement, Jesus lived his life a very specific way. And he did this in multiple ways. One, he prioritized rest by himself. Two, he prioritized rest with others. See Mark chapter 4, verse 38 and Mark chapter 6, verses 30 through 32. In order to get the most out of the time that he had, he knew that it was extremely important to rest. The whole reason why the Sabbath, or the 1 day of rest per week, was created was to empower humans to be at their best the rest of the week. This is why if you are a business owner, it may seem really cool to you to work 7 days a week, to never take time off, to work on vacation. But what we really need to do in order to get the most out of your time is to not only take off 1 to 2 days, if not more per week, to take periods of time away from work, to rest and bring ourselves into a space of abundance, away from a space of stress and scarcity. And that is why I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that. This brings me to the most surprising figure I have ever seen about anything. One of my clients, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC, has released information that being awake for 17 plus hours without sleep is the equivalent of having a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. This is routinely looked at as risky to drive. And as you add hours, you just get closer and closer to the 0.08% level, which would give you a DUI. This is crazy. Sleep, lack of rest, not only stunts your growth, it impairs your ability. And this has been echoed by many doctors and longevity professionals, ranging from Dr. Peter Attia, the author of Outlive, and Brian Johnson, billionaire longevity enthusiast behind the Blueprint and the Don't Die movement. So with these case studies and with the science of sleep and rest, why do most people still fail to prioritize rest? Well, because we have been told that the world works in a specific way. Most people think they need to do the work to have the money, to have the impact, and then they will be happy and rest. This is also looked at as do, have, be. And this is completely backwards. Stephen R. Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, shares that in order to have transformation and growth in your life, it begins with who you are, not what you do or have. Be, do, have. This has also been echoed in various spiritual texts, ranging from the Bible to other spiritual works throughout the world. The importance of becoming who you want to be, and then doing from that becoming, and then the having follows. This means being the person who prioritizes rest, being the person full of happiness and abundance, being the person who leads with clarity and peace. And then you're able to do work from rest, from abundance, from clarity and peace. And then you'll have rest, abundance, clarity, peace, and impact in your life. Here's how this is played out for me. A couple months ago, I woke up and I was extremely stressed out. Does this sound familiar to you? There's been so many times throughout my life that I've encountered this scenario. Stress before bed, stress getting up, and instead of being in the past, I have found myself going right into the doing. And my being was stressed. So I was still being, but instead of putting effort into my being was stressed. So that means my doing was stressed, which means that my having was stress. But on this particular day, I remember thinking to myself, I could do what I've done countless times, which is doing the work, going into my business, and working based on the stress that I had, thinking, oh, I got to get all these different things done, or I could take a step back, embrace rest, and rest can look differently depending on who you are. We all rest, we all get our energy back, get ourselves in a state of abundance in different ways. Well, on this day, I decided that I was going to get rid of the stress, take control of my being, bring myself into a state of abundance, and then move to doing and having. So instead of jumping right into work, I took a step back and I meditated. It's one thing that helps me alleviate stress and pushes me away from scarcity and stress towards abundance. So I meditated. That brought me up a little bit. Then I took a short run, so I worked out. It was pretty short. It was like 10-15 minutes. I worked out. That pushed me up a little closer to abundance. Then I tried out taking a cold shower. That pushed me up even more. Then I had some healthy food. I had a smoothie. By the time I finished these different things with the goal of working towards abundance, I was ready to do and have, because I was already in a state of abundance. So what I did was from a state of abundance. I was open to opportunities, and ultimately I had abundance on that day. And every single day since, I have integrated a strategy into my life to bring me away from scarcity and stress towards abundance. And it all comes back to giving myself what I need every single day to rest, to bring myself into abundance so that I can be, do, have. And I invite you to be the same in your life. Be restful and abundant, do restful and abundant, have rest and abundance in your life. And if you or your business is making 6 figures a year on an e-learning program or online course, or maybe you have 25 or more employees, or maybe you just have the goal, the aspiration to build a globally impactful learning business, like some of my VIP coaching clients, Mario and Mark. If this sounds like you, I invite you to apply for my VIP coaching program, where I work with business owners who want to grow their business globally, earn 6-figure profits, and win their time back. You can apply in the show notes or in the description below this video on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next episode.